Welcome back, everyone. I'm Zell, and today it's time to take apart and see what's inside the steel wheel Modus. Alright guys, this is kindly on loan from the 400-pound gorilla, and since we've got it here, we're gonna get a look at what's inside it. We have, first off, let's get a look at the screws. We have a T8 for the pivot, and it's a pretty good one. And we have a T6 for everything else. Let's see if we can roll this guy around and get it where you can see it. And not bad. Really good screws in this knife. I'm impressed. They're not terribly deep, but they do feel like very good screws. So let's get it apart and see what's inside. There's our pivot screw with absolutely no, so we can get this thing to focus, and it's not wanting to play with me. There we go. Absolutely no Loctite or anything. We will take care of that. I was having a little bit of issue with keeping the pivot where it's supposed to be. Well, we'll take these two body screws out first and see if we need to take the pocket clip off. But just like the CutJack, we have some very good screws. Nicely done there. And the handle is much nicer. This kind of somewhat random rock pattern they've used, you know, it's still not something super wonderful, but it is way better than what we started with. Okay, we're going to have to take the pocket clip off, so off comes the pocket clip. I bet those screws are a different length. Or maybe not. Had a little bit of Loctite on one of the backspacer screws. But doesn't look like any on these. Interesting. Okay, should be able to lift something off there now. There we go. Now we should be able to lift our liner off. Maybe. This is interesting. Okay, brand new knife. I don't want to go prying around on it. So I'll take the screws out of the other side and see what we get there. This may be as far as we get, because I'm not going to mess up the gorilla's knife. Well, that didn't do us any good, because now all we did was broke the spindle loose. And same thing there. But that may have done us some good here. There we go. The spindles just had some Loctite on them. Alright, so there's our phosphor bronze washer. I'm going to try to get this thing to focus, because I want you to see how thick that phosphor bronze washer is. Stillwell is not joking around. They put some nice washers inside this thing. Again, look at that. Nice and thick. Very nice washers. This backspacer, after feeling it out of here, this is some sort of aluminum. I was really questioning that because there wasn't any information on Stillwell's website. I tried to call them once, but here in the holiday season, calling people is nearly impossible. But it is some sort of anodized aluminum. Doesn't feel like 6061. It's a little too light for that, but it's just a backspacer, so whatever type of aluminum it is, very nice. And we do have a D-shaped pivot. Always happy to see that so that it's captured. And for those of you that have asked about the free spinning pivot. What that means is that the pivot is allowed to turn freely right here. Now, there are two ways of doing that. You can do a sleeve like this one is. This is just a sleeve that has been threaded on the inside so that you can tighten the pivot up. This one's D-shaped, but sometimes you'll find these sleeves that are not D-shaped. And whenever you find those, that's where you have your problems, because that pivot will spin free, and you have your pivot screw on the other side, and you've got to figure out how to get that dude loosened up or tightened up, whatever you need to do with it spinning freely in the pivot area. And that can be a problem. There are ways to mitigate it. I went over that in some of the Best Tech Knife What's Insides, but it's not the greatest thing. So internally, we have some very nice milling in here to lighten this guy up. In fact, they haven't used any more liner than what was necessary. And that, some will argue with me, but I actually like that. They've done what I consider a very good job with the liner setup, and everything looks smooth and clean. Everything fits pretty good. I'm going to give it a well done on the inside. And that's it. That's all there is inside this knife. So we're going to clean her up, just like we always do. And I guess we could look at that real quick. Missed out on that. Our stop pin is not a pin. Our stop pin is right here. It's on the blade. And how does that work? Well, if you lay the blade in here, see this track? Got that track right there. Stop pin lays in that track. Whenever it goes closed, that stop pin is hitting the liner right here. When it goes open, it's hitting the liner right there. So that gives you your open and closed stops. That's pretty slick. The liners aren't exactly dainty. Fairly beefy liners, so should be just fine. I haven't seen that done on a liner lock, but hey, they seem to have pulled it off, and maybe the CutJack's the same way. I haven't taken that one apart, I don't think. Anyhow, let's get this guy cleaned up and back together, or not a lot of cleaning to do, really. Besides around the pivot area, it was pretty clean on the inside. So I'll be vibra-tightening up the screws, and then you know the deal there. We got to wait half an hour to put the thing back together. So to the vibra-tight we go. And somebody asked about why I have vibra-tight in a nail jar. In this little nail polish jar. Well, the thing that the vibra-tight, little jar that the vibra-tight come in, was kind of a piece of junk. And its top did not keep the vibra-tight from sticking to the top. So it was not designed like a fingernail polish jar, which is designed to try to keep you from locking the jar shut with the paint. Which, you know, of course, that nail polish, pretty sticky stuff, it would lock the jar shut too. So I got that jar all locked shut and ended up breaking the jar. And Susie Nails It came to the rescue. She had some of these empty nail polish jars, or bottles, whatever you'd like to call them, and we were able to transfer that stuff to a couple of the empty nail polish jars. And at sometime in the future, whenever I have to buy another bottle of vibra-tight, I will just order some of these little bottles to go along with it, because this is way better. Way, way better. Anyhow, you know the drill. 30 minutes and we'll put it back together. Alright, it's been 30 minutes, so let's get this guy back together. Got our back spacers going to go in, and we're not going to do anything with the bushings except make sure that they're going in the right way. And the way you do that is this side, you can actually see it on these, is the side that was stamped. So it was stamped from this side through, so there's a little bit of a ridge right here. So we're going to put that ridge against the liner and the smooth side against the blade. Same thing here. So, layer, well, actually, we'll get our 10 weight nano oil out and give it a couple of drops. Then put our, and this thing still is fighting with me on focus, isn't it? Put our blade down. And we'll put our 85 weight right there in the D10 hole. We've talked about that a couple of times. If I can get some to come out, that stuff's a little thick. Anyhow, there we go. And then we want to put that side of the little bushing down. And hopefully this will lay right down over there and we'll be in business. And it does. What a deal. Alright, so get our pivot screw. It was a T8. So we'll get our pivot screw back in there. And I didn't pick up a T8. I picked up something else. Try that again. I didn't think I had any T9s out here, but apparently I did. Snug that up a bit, clean up the top of it. And then get our body screws back in this guy. And they were T6s, so we need to get the T6 out, huh? There we go. Nice and snug. Nice and snug. And we're spinning, of course. Alright, I'll have to grab another T6 driver and see if we can hold that one in place while we tighten it up. There we go. Much better now. Get our screws cleaned off. There's a Vibratite. That stuff's some nasty stuff. We want everything clean for the gorilla whenever he gets this guy back. And check our action. Got just a little bit of blade play in there, so go back to our T8. Snug it up a bit more. Good and solid. Now we kind of lost our flipping ability, so go the other way just a little bit. Pretty well centered up. And a little lacking on action at the moment. That's kind of disappointing. Get our action back. Got a little bit of wobble in it. There we go. Good to go there. Now we need to get our pocket clip back on. And we should be in business. And these were T6s. So easy enough. So guys, that is what's inside the Steel Will Modus. It's a pretty darn neat knife and a heck of a deal at its price point. We'll get to a full review soon, of course, and get this guy back to the gorilla because we really, really appreciate him offering it up for review. Very good looking knife, and I really appreciate the Steel Will has changed that pattern. On the CutJack, that crosshatch pattern was just awful. This is so much better. Anyhow, very nice knife, and that's what's inside it. You guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.